All right, well, we may never know what led to the head injury that ultimately killed actor Bob Saget, but doctors call it a wake-up call.
Yeah, according to the CDC, 1.5 million Americans have a traumatic brain injury every year, and 50,000 people die. But the warning signs and getting help right away could possibly save your life.
Yeah, we want to talk more about it this afternoon. Joining us to give us more information about why you shouldn't ignore a head injury is Dr. Rami Hashish, body performance and injury expert. Doctor, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Well, so first, can you tell us, besides hitting your head on something, what else can cause a head injury like what we're talking about?
So you can also have a brain injury or head injury from actually just vigorous shaking of your head. So I think a lot of people are probably familiar with the term of shaken baby syndrome, and that's commonly caused by just shaking your child vigorously. But even if you look at adults, we can still have that. We can still have shaking of the brain and shaking of the head that can actually cause some potential tears and cells within the brain. One potential cause is things like amusement parks where heads are shaken and moved around and thrust around. So if it becomes a little bit too severe, and particularly if we're people who are potentially more exposed or have a higher potential for brain injury, that can certainly happen as well.
Wow, that's so frightening because we just take that as like something you do with the, amusement park. You're not even thinking like that.
Yeah, and it's often, jarring to your head. Now, doctor, I know that sometimes it can be hard to recognize if you do have a brain injury. So what are some symptoms that people can look out for, if there are any at all?
Yeah, no. There are absolutely a handful, and it really depends on where in your brain is injured. But if I were to break down the three that are absolutely serious and you have to immediately seek medical attention, is if you have difficulty walking, you have difficulty talking, and also if your pupils are dilated. So I think there was this old thought that if you have a brain injury, or if you have a concussion, which is referred to as a mild traumatic brain injury, you shouldn't go to sleep. That idea is a little bit debunked over time, except if you have difficulty walking, talking, or your pupils are dilated, you should absolutely not go to sleep and you should seek medical attention.
So let's talk exactly about what goes on inside your body when the injury occurs. What happens next?
So essentially if you have impact to your head or you have some sort of situation that results in your brain being jostled around, you can actually have tears within the cells of the brain. You can also have tears of veins and vessels. And if that happens, then you can have an absolute, what we refer to as an insult or injury to the brain that can actually just result in kind of symptoms associated with problems to the brain. So for instance, if we think of like the back of the brain, right? The back of the brain is involved with vision. So our vision controlling center of our head is actually from the back of our brain. So if we actually have injury to that area, then our ability and the brain's ability to send signals and therefore to see properly would be affected. So it's really the concept of sending signals from the brain are ultimately affected. And the symptoms will be dictated by where we actually have injury to our brain.
We know brain injuries are so much more, I feel like, difficult to analyze and figure out what's going on, because especially if you're taking hit after hit like athletes, and you don't have any symptoms in the beginning, but years down the road, boom, it's kind of like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's absolutely true. I think one of the biggest kind of fears and concerns and is actually resulting in a lot of scientific research is to better understand and better diagnose brain injuries. So if we look at the severity of injuries, we know there's a mild traumatic brain injury. There's also moderate and severe. Right. The issue is that mild traumatic brain injuries, which are also referred to as concussions, can't always necessarily be seen on an MRI or a CT scan. So it may ultimately lead to these misdiagnoses, right? And if we look at something like football or these kind of high impact sports that result in a lot of head trauma, what may often be seen is that there's actually a bunch of impacts or a bunch of shaken situations of the head where it's not enough to cause necessarily a concussion, but those even subconcussive kind of shakes to the head and shakes to the brain over time can develop and do very serious things that sometimes aren't necessarily seen radiologically on CT scans and MRI. So that's
Yeah,
an
definitely
absolute
a lot of good information. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it.